Sammy sliced through the crest of a massive wave, his whiskers vibrating against the salt spray. He banked hard, catching a glimpse of something brilliant wedged in the surging surf. He tucked his flippers and dove, tracking the flicker of gold until his snout nudged the object. It was a shell, polished and heavy. He surfaced, holding it against the current, and pressed it to his ear. A sharp, rhythmic ding resonated from within, clear and melodic against the muffled roar of the ocean. He shook his head, listening again. Ding, ding, ding. A shadow crossed the water beside him. Luna the penguin broke the surface, her flippers paddling steadily. She paused, tilting her head as the sound carried through the water. She did not look at him. She looked at the shell, then out toward the depths. She pointed with a flick of her wing. Below them, a trail of identical golden shells glimmered, stitching a path through the dark water toward the reef. Sammy let the current pull him forward. Luna fell into step beside him, their eyes locked on the shimmering light. They turned together, leaving the open surf behind to follow the trail into the deep. The trail wound through a dense thicket of swaying kelp, the golden light flickering against the dark stalks. Sammy led the way, his body angling through the narrow gaps, while Luna stayed close, her eyes scanning the shifting shadows. A sudden, piercing cry echoed through the reef, cutting through the rhythmic pulse of the ocean. They halted instantly. Behind a jagged, barnacle-crusted rock, a young sea turtle thrashed against a thick nest of tangled seaweed. The vines were coiled tight around its limbs, pulling it deeper into the crevice. Sammy did not hesitate. He surged forward, his flippers working with surgical precision to pry at the knotted vines. The turtle's breath came in ragged bursts, its eyes wide with exhaustion. Luna moved to the opposite side, nudging the turtle's head gently to keep it centered and still. The seaweed was stubborn, thick, and resilient, but Sammy braced his weight against the rock, using the leverage of his body to snap the tension. One vine broke, then another. Luna caught the loose ends, pulling them away to clear the path. With a final sharp tug, the last knot gave way. The turtle drifted free, its limbs trembling as it stabilized in the current. It looked at Sammy, then at Luna, and dipped its head in acknowledgement. The trio turned as one, their formation tight, ready to follow the trail into the deep. The trail ended at a jagged fissure in the trench wall. They pushed through, entering a chamber where the very air seemed to hum. Bioluminescent moss coated the ceiling, pulsing with a rhythmic, cool intensity. In the center of the room, perched upon a stone pedestal, sat a giant pearl. It radiated a soft, lunar glow that washed over the walls, illuminating ancient carvings. Sammy drifted closer, his whiskers twitching in the unnatural light. Luna circled the pedestal, her movements fluid and slow, while the turtle hung back, watching the shimmering reflections on the cavern floor. For a heartbeat, the danger of the reef felt miles away. Then the floor shuddered. A deafening grinding sound erupted from the entrance. A massive boulder, hidden in the overhead rockwork, dropped with the weight of a mountain. It slammed into the narrow opening, sealing the chamber tight. The ambient light of the moss dimmed instantly, strangled by the sudden lack of current. The trio spun around, their eyes wide. The chamber was no longer a sanctuary, it was a tomb. The turtle let out a frantic chuffing sound, darting toward the stone wall and scratching at the unyielding surface. Sammy slammed his weight against the base of the rock, but it did not shift. The silence that followed was suffocating, heavy with the realization that they were trapped in the dark. Panic threatened to fracture their focus, but Sammy barked a sharp command, his eyes locking onto the turtle and Luna. There was no room for hesitation. The turtle struck the base of the stone with its hard shell, a dull thud echoing through the chamber, yet the barrier remained immovable. Luna dove into the sand, looping a long, sturdy strand of kelp around a jagged protrusion on the rock face. She braced her flippers against the uneven floor, pulling until the vines groaned under the tension. Sammy wedged his snout beneath the lowest point of the boulder, his muscles corded as he drove his entire weight upward. They were a singular machine of effort. The turtle pushed with its hind flippers, scraping against the stone, adding its strength to the collective drive. The rock did not move for long, agonizing seconds. Then, a grinding vibration traveled through the cave floor. Sammy felt the stone shift a fraction of an inch and surged harder, his breathing heavy and rhythmic. Luna held the kelp taut, her body straining to maintain the angle of leverage. The boulder groaned, a deep, tectonic sound that vibrated in their bones. Slowly, it began to slide. Inch by inch, the seal, the penguin, and the turtle forced the obstruction aside, their eyes fixed on the darkening gap that refused to yield. The final shove sent the boulder rolling into the trench with a thunderous splash. Sunlight erupted into the chamber, blinding and brilliant, washing away the shadows of the tomb. The trio tumbled forward into the current, gasping as the fresh, oxygen-rich water hit their gills and lungs. Sammy shook the silt from his whiskers, his gaze drawn back to the stone pedestal. The pearl was gone, but the light had revealed an inscription carved deep into the rock. Sammy drifted close, his eyes tracing the ancient, weathered letters. "The greatest treasure is friendship." The words held a weight that surpassed any physical prize. Luna circled the pedestal, her flippers brushing the stone, while the turtle nodded once, a slow, deliberate movement. They were no longer three separate creatures wandering the reef. They were a singular force. They turned toward the open ocean, the golden shells they had collected reflecting the morning sun like tiny, dancing stars. Together, they swam back into the vast blue, their silhouettes sharp against the horizon. They patrolled the reefs from that day forward, watching over the currents, fully aware that no depth was too dark and no tide too strong when they moved as one. The ocean was large, but for them, it was no longer a place of isolation. It was home, shared and defended.